So I wanted to put together a short video on doing flares on a 72 Torino many years back. Basically what I started out with was I had a pair of fenders and kicked it around and discovered that if I took and flipped the driver's to the passenger side and the passenger side to the driver's side on the rear quarter panels, they actually worked really well for flaring the quarter panels on a 72 Torino. In this case, I had a pair of fenders that were kind of roached, but the lips were good, and I just took it upon myself to widen the fender flares out on these cars so it would fit some 295/50 15s with a much wider tire or much wider wheel on a wide tire. At this point, I'm dealing with the fact that this car had a lot of rot. This car was really rough, really bad. Had just seen a lot of just bad patches, bad repairs. So I'm just trying to fix something to prolong it. As you can see, it was a cobbled, clustered mess because it just been spray foamed to keep the quarter panels together. So I ripped the old quarter off and then just found more damage hidden underneath the paint. And what I started on was just trying to get things spaced out and be able to go in and start fixing the quarter panel the best I could given what I was working with, and very, very limited, basically no budget, because I was just trying to help fix this quarter panel and doing minor metal work on it, and not my best work by any stretch of the imagination, but started just fitting up, and you can see where it fits. It pretty much matches the deal, and you can see where it starts to kind of pooch out to fit all the way over. The theory here was we were using the wheel lips and we reinforced it with wire, some 1/4-inch rod to keep everything kind of stiff, get rid of the stock factory style dog leg, but we just liked the look of it at the time because it just gave kind of a California flair from like the 70s, just real big wide hips. Also just trying to figure out a way to just kind of keep this car on the road. It was really rotted and rough in spots, and using a very poorly made aftermarket quarter panel was not a tab coupe panel, but you can just see the rot that this car had on it at the time. Just trying to patch it just to make something work and make it doable, just making little patch panels to fix the rust it had. And sitting here just getting, trying to get the quarter panel fitted up, pole barn style with, sheet metal screws, and just tacking the hand-formed quarter panel in place. You can just see the rot this thing had on it. It was horrible. Just trying to hand fab pieces to make something work to replace the sheet metal that was rotted and full of holes, because that's what you have to do sometimes on cars where it's not like a Mustang or Camaro where you just get a whole quarter panel. In this case, just kind of going along and patching stuff that was rotted out. Not my most ideal way, but you can just see the rust that was underneath this car and how bad it was. And just having to clean the metal and fix stuff and repatch it in with good sheet metal that wasn't all full of rot, and making patch panels. And then just kind of moving forward here on a little bit of the metal work. But this is kind of outlining where the flare is going to sit and trimming it open so that way, these wider, super wide tires, I'm tired and exhausted here at this point. Again, finding more rust that needed to be fixed. So just taking sheet metal, making patches. The same thing like the B pillar was just completely gone on this car. It just turned to dust. I mean, typical Midwest rot. So having to make all new reinforcement panels from scratch on this, because that's what I had. Using front fender liners also to make patch panels for new wheel lip housings, just that way to try and fix what was there using what was available. Here I've got the two panels kind of reinforced with the 1/4-inch rod, and it tucked around, rolled the lip so that way it wouldn't tear up the sidewall on the tire, because these wheels were not honestly really the right offset for this. But you can just see, just kind of going along, using the metal work, and there's the midget wife at the time, going. But you can kind of see how the 1/4 panel here is taking shape, and got it back out of the garage. And kind of, it's hard to see in these photos. I wish I had video, but I didn't take video at the time. But this kind of gives a better idea of just the amount of flare that is on that 1/4 panel. So it really does it sticks out, and it blends using the factory fenders compared to, like, say, this here's a stock 72. Here we've got a section off of another car where just again patching what was rotted out and damaged, so that way the car could be put back together. One of the big things is it's like you have to cut it out and you have to fix it properly with good metal. There's just no getting around that. And this was the bottom of a B pillar off of another Torino that I most likely probably had laying around from an Elite, probably 76 Elite that I had. That was a fire damaged car that I had cut up for parts, and just welding it back together. And here you can just see a little bit of metal work and just trying to patch it in. My metal work by far is, I freely admit, not the best. I never claimed to be the best, but this is what I was able to do at the time in my life. This was probably, this had to have been probably at least 15 years ago. Well, no, yeah, probably right after my car was painted. But you can see here on the bottom of the 1/4 panel, we reinforced it with rod because that's what I was asked to do. And just to get rid of the dog leg and have the bottom of the 1/4 panel have some sort of reinforcement so it wouldn't sit there and flop in the wind. Not exactly how I would have done it, but at the same time, we just extended sheet metal over from the floor over to the 1/4 panel, so that way there was some reinforcement for the back of that 1/4 panel. But here you can see the flare, how the flares kind of come into shape, and how everything is set up on this. Overall, I mean, I was pretty happy with it. But now here, it's like, I freely admit, this is where the fiberglass filler came into play to try and smooth stuff out after I tried to do a little metal work. And it's one of those things where it's just kind of going along and doing a little bit of metal work, trying to smooth it out and get it to where it needs to be, and then end up taking and spraying it in a little bit of gray epoxy primer, and hey, there we go. Again, it's one of those things where I was fairly happy with how it turned out, but it was not perfect. It really needed a lot more time, but unfortunately, I had a one-car garage at my old house here, and I couldn't afford to have my car sitting out in the driveway in the weather while this thing sat in my garage. So, but I did the flares on the quarters, and that was what she ended up with.